This is Anthony Pascal, and this is a special supplemental episode of the All Access Star Trek podcast. Laurie and I were not able to get together this week to record a review of the latest episode of Lower Decks, the best Exotic Nanite Hotel. So we will do that for next week's podcast and review two episodes at once, episodes 3 and 4 of season 5 of Lower Decks. So for this week, we have a series of Lower Decks interviews that we've done over the last week or so, starting with the latest, which is my interview with Gabrielle Ruiz, who plays T'Lyn. And this interview focuses mostly on the latest episode, the best Exotic Nanite Hotel. And a little context before you listen to the interview. Gabrielle's background is in musical theater, Broadway. She is well known for her role on the CW musical sitcom Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She's also a big-time Star Trek fan. So let's take a listen to the interview. Nice to meet you. I'm with Trek Movie.
Thanks for coming.
No problem. So this is going to be done as a post-mortem style, so we could talk any spoilers for episode 3.
Okay.
Which is the Nanite Hotel one.
Okay, great.
Okay. So this episode feels tailor-made for you. You've got a crazy ex-girlfriend, lots of T'Lyn. You've got music saving the day and fandom. So did you get that sense at all when you were writing it? Or when you got the script and you were doing this episode?
I read and recorded the episode 100%. I concur. It was so much fun to read. It made me laugh just reading it versus and then taking it off the page and giving at least 3 to 5 different vocal takes on each line. And I am so happy with how the final product has come through, because I don't see maybe sometimes see glimpses of the animation before it's out on Paramount Plus on my television. So when it finally comes through in that way, like it premieres that episode, I get to enjoy it all over again. It's so enjoyable to be a voiceover actor in Star Trek.
Mike has talked about writing for T'Lyn and how they spend all this time honing things down to make her as dry as possible. And he has talked about, he's praised your deadpan performance as he described it. But I mean, you've obviously done some big, broad stuff, and you're laughing, you're not very T'Lyn-like, maybe as a natural person. So, has it been a process for you, as you were saying, to hone yourself down to that deadpan, as it were, to get it right?
I mean, the audition, I remember telling my husband when I laid it down, my voiceover audition for T'Lyn, I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning and I could feel it. It was instinct. Like, let's be T'Lyn here. It was instinct that it wasn't correct. It wasn't right. And I told my husband, I was like, I got to go back in my closet and record this again, because the nuance of what Vulcan is and what Leonard Nimoy created, and then you evolve it and embrace, the branches of all the other actors who have created this Vulcan iconic culture. It just wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly what it was. And I'm so glad that I did that, because I wanted to get the rhythm and the nuance, the speed, and then add the Mike McMahan writers, the comedy. And I'm so glad I did, because I can trust that the comedy is there in the writing. It's there. It's on the page. And then I can envision and listen to my Leonard Nimoy little on my shoulder, a little Spock on my shoulder. How would he say it? And it just completely comes together in the recording room.
For this episode, obviously, you just proved how much of a fan you are, and I know you are a fan. But in this episode, T'Lyn is a fan of something. In this case, Krog.
It's so funny.
How did you feel that fits with T'Lyn? How do you kind of manifest a, pardon the word, fangirl, but a Vulcan at the same time?
Well, that's the thing about T'Lyn, is she's so reckless. She's so reckless for a Vulcan. She's risky and dangerous with her emotions. How dare you even go there? So I love the moment that is her fangirl squeal, where she just goes, and that's it. And that's what's so funny about it, is that you get to see her kind of squirm when she sees the poster of Krog. And then she explains how much of a big deal it is. And the moment that she has with him, and he shares his mutual admiration for Vulcan culture is very emotional for me as an actor, because it's such a beautiful arc for her to have that moment where she's also being admired for herself.
Now, in the previous episode, we saw T'Lyn go out of her way to ingratiate herself to Rutherford, and in a sense, she's trying to get herself a bigger part of the team. But do you, as Gabrielle, feel like you are now the fifth lower decker? Like, did you feel this season, as you're reading the scripts, that you're the fifth lower decker now? Or is that...
I definitely have felt embraced before this season, for sure, as one of the gang, part of the gang. And I am so grateful when I'm able to be added to the storylines, and also have, a really strong pillar of impact to the core four, and that they also impact her and her choices. So I hadn't had a choice. I hadn't had a chance with Rutherford yet. It had been a lot of Tendi, some really great moments about who she is as a Vulcan. She's Vulcan as a motherfucker, is with Mariner. But with Rutherford, he's so wonderful and happy-go-lucky that she gets to have a moment and agree that she also misses Tendi. She also wants her around, and I think it was a really cool friendship moment for her to take a step back, stay up all night like a Vulcan would, and disassemble and tear apart the ship so that they have time to do that together. I thought that was quite adorable.
I don't know if this was in the script, but did you notice in the final episode, T'Lyn added a stick figure of herself to the shuttle?
Somebody sent that to me on X, on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and I didn't see that. And so I went back and looked at it, and that is something Gabrielle would do. Just like, just write myself in. But that's, again, like very, very T'Lyn. She has those instincts of camaraderie and friendship, and I just love that about her.
What do you think of the fan theory that T'Lyn has actually been replaced by Alt T'Lyn? And would it make a difference?
I don't think it would make a difference. I think she's so logically sound, and I think she knows exactly what she's doing. That would she make an alternate decision? No. No, I don't think it would make a difference. That's a funny question.
Now, obviously, Tawny and Jack have done the live action. Other actors have talked about, Jerry and, Noël have said they want to do it. Could you because, physically, Jack's talked about how hard it was to do Boimler,
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine doing T'Lyn, and getting into that physically? And is that something you'd like to do?
It was a surprise when fans at conventions would come up to me and tell me this, like, you could do it, right? And I was like, can I? Do you think I can? And I was completely surprised that I guess I hadn't thought myself in that way. But as an actor, I think it'd be a fun challenge. And I mean, I'm already a brunette, so we know I could rock that black wig, that bob with the headband. But I would absolutely love to be Vulcan live action. I think it's definitely a masterclass in itself. A lot of pressure, but I would be up for the challenge. Just like a Vulcan would. It's quite logical that I would do that.
Of course. Can you tease anything about the rest of the season? This comes out as of episode 3, by the way. So can you tease any T'Lyn for the rest of the season, perhaps? I
mean, just legacy characters. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that this show has already been Lower Decks has already been so great at nailing callbacks and deep cuts and Easter eggs, as we say, and we get to enjoy it. And then when you watch it again, you see more and you enjoy even more. So it has that timeless stamp on it already. So we're going to enjoy that so much in the final season. Mike has had a wonderful opportunity, like for streaming all around. 5 seasons is great, and we got this great arc and this great story to finish. So I'm glad that we have time to enjoy that together.
You mentioned legacy actors going to conventions. Have you at any point had a chance to speak to like Tim or Ethan or anyone? I mean, because you're part of like an elite club now.
I know, it's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
So has there been any sharing of tips or any of that with any of the other Vulcan actors?
I'm trying to be cool. This year. I'm a freshman, at the cons. So I'm like, be cool, man. Don't be like super fan here, because Jonathan Frakes, get out of here. Okay, like get out of here. He was like chilling in the green room, tired, and like wanted to like have his quiet moment. And I'm with my cousin who was locally in Las Vegas, and he's like trying to talk to him. And I'm like, Romeo, get out of here. You're kicked out. Like, you cannot ruin this for me. Don't ruin this for me, man. I kicked my cousin out. And then we did a reading together. And we rode the same car back to our hotel. And I was just able to just be chill and like an actor, like, just like shooting the shit, and being cool. And he was wonderful. He was so nice, and he is so nice and so kind. And I love that moment with someone that is such high celebrity and iconic in that way. The moment they walk in a room, it's a gasp, which a lot of Star Trek actors are, that I get to just not treat them that way and let them know that I'm also part of the community and that I'm cool. So I think I did a good job. Excellent. I don't know. Let me know when you talk to him if he remembers me.
I just did talk to Jonathan.
You should have asked him about me. I want to know.
I don't know how it didn't come up. Okay, well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Gabriel. So happy that you're part of it. Live long and prosper. That was fun. Now we're going to switch to some roundtable interviews done during New York Comic Con. Now, these are interviews like little mini press conferences. So we participate along with a number of other outlets. So you'll be hearing Laurie and myself along with other interviewers asking questions. The first will be my interview with Tawny Newsome, Jack Quaid, Noël Wells, and Eugene Cordero, who of course play Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford respectively. And this is all about season 5 in general. Here we go.
So we are going to begin with Rachel at the Mary Sue.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. To start, I want to say, I want to ask Jack and Tawny, when you guys go from being animated voices to being the live action version, then going back to voicing the animated version of these characters, what for you is the fun of coming back post doing the live action take on them?
Oh, good question. I feel like Boimler is just like way more in my body now. Like I got to, voice him for years, but that was really just my voice. And then when we did the crossover, I tried to like look at what the animators did for the character of Boimler on Lower Decks and try to copy some of those mannerisms. And now that's just kind of in me when I record. So it's just been this weird relationship with you
in life.
And in life as well, yeah.
I
do a lot of like, things. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I think I've seen the moves bleed into your life.
Oh yeah,
which is very.
I don't know where I end and Boimler begins. That's the whole thing.
What a beautiful love story. I love it. I feel that wig that was on me just bouncing back and forth. Now when I'm in the booth, I'm like, that little ponytail, it really does a lot for the voice acting. I don't know if you hear ponytail.
I hear the ponytail.
The voice. You do?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Too,
Thank you guys. Thank you.
And we would like the opportunity to answer that question at one point.
No, get them in there. Get them
very much. We would love to be able to answer that one in the future.
Yes.
And I would love to see that. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. The next question is going to be Ashley from Fangirlish.
Hi, guys. Ashley Thomas with fangirlish.com.
Hello.
Hi. I have a question for Noël.
Oh, Noël. Hi. Yes, I'm here.
Well, Tendi's my girl. I love Tendi so much.
Mine too.
Yeah. Noël, what have you learned about yourself playing Tendi?
Oh gosh, okay. So I've said it a few times in a way. So Tendi is so optimistic and so voraciously embracing her life and her passions, and everybody likes her for the most part. Like, and for me, I have found that is a deep part of my personality, but it's been kind of repressed, or it's oftentimes met with people who are pretty cynical. And so it's allowed me to embrace those parts of myself and not hide them as much. And so Tendi has taught me that my enthusiasm and unbridled curiosity about how life works can actually be an asset in the world.
I love that.
Sorry, this makes me sound so sad. No one liked me before Tendi.
Yeah. We love Noël. We love Tendi.
Because just like Tendi was a murder pirate.
She
was a murder pirate. So she's still
life
great.
was hard back then.
Yeah.
I found my people.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got nervous at answer.
Yes, or stand behind.
Okay. All right. The next question is going to be Anthony from Drug Movie.
Hey guys, any one of you can answer this, but I'll start with Tawny. There seems to be a big emphasis on character growth this season. And so I guess, did you approach it in a different way? Dare I say closure? I mean, there seemed to be like tying up loose ends, like with Jennifer, or was this just another season and, you didn't really see it that way?
Well, we didn't know that we were going to be tying anything up. So I definitely didn't approach it like, the final season. Let me bring that into the performance. No, I was just like doing Mariner, experiencing the growth that's written in for the season. But definitely in the final episode in 510, that went through a lot of rewrites. And there is like there's more of a button placed on everyone's story so that it can be a nice healthy pause. I say pause because who knows what could happen in the future. But no, if you're asking if I did anything special to prep for this season, the answer always is no.
Okay. We are going to go to Aaron from Trek Core for the next question.
Great.
Hi, gang. It was announced last night that the four of you each got to design a T-shirt for the Titmouse Animation T-shirt Club this year.
Oh, finally!
So,
I wonder what happened to that.
It was announced last night. So the designs haven't been made public, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I wonder if you could talk about your interaction with the design team and what you wanted to get out of your T-shirt designs.
Man, I didn't really have an interaction with the design team. I think Mike was just like, I think I was shooting or something at the time. So I drew like a really crude drawing of something. Yeah. And I was like, maybe this. And he was like, this is a terrible piece of art, but the designers will make this work. Yeah. But what about you guys?
I mean, I got real sentimental about mine in a way where it was like a really cool moment. I felt like for Rutherford and for me being in the Trek family, that I wanted to make sure was kind of shown on a shirt. So that got to happen, and I love that. But other than that, I'm not like a T-shirt. I don't know what this shoulder thing is happening, but
do T-shirt people not use their shoulders?
Yeah. I'm more of I needed something with like a padded shoulder rather than a T-shirt. No, I love the idea of like, designing something in that way, and it's just been a blast. I'm excited to have all four of these too.
Yeah.
I had a lot of ideas, and I thought, oh, you're going to let me do like multiple designs, right? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But my idea was essentially I wanted it to feel like something that could be almost like a band T-shirt or something with the gang. So that's the vibe without spoiling my T-shirt.
Yeah, no T-shirt spoilers.
No T-shirt spoilers.
No T-shirt spoilers.
I will tell you what happens in the finale, but no T-shirt spoilers.
I did the same thing as Noël. I literally modeled it after my favorite band T-shirt. No T-shirt spoilers. But I also Mike was like, hey, like if you want, you can draw it or we can mock it up. And I was like, well, I'll just sketch out exactly what my like shirt looks like and put our faces in it, our little character faces. And so I sketched it out and I sent it. And what Mike wrote back was, because my drawing was also very bad. Like it looked like something a serial killer would have on his wall in a movie. And Mike was like, do you want it to look like this or do you want it to be this but good? And I was like, this but good.
Yeah. But that's Mike's note to us even when we're recording.
Yeah.
You want to use that take or one that's good?
That's good.
Yeah.
You sure about that? Like you're choosing the take.
Great. Hey, thanks, gang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, you are up next.
Great. Welcome from Oregon. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I got a question. So looking back over the last 5 years, what will you miss most, each of you, about cultivating your characters, and how did it help elevate your craft?
Ooh.
I will miss the positivity that Rutherford has in every moment. So I think that ownership of the things that you love and the things that you have worked really hard to get, and still like, kind of being like a fanboy of his own work, is something that I would like to keep taking forward after this is done. But I don't see this ending. So, I think it's open-ended for all of these characters. And hopefully this is, just a moment that we get to take a second to kind of look at what has been awesome over the last 5 seasons and what we can bring moving forward. So,
That's a good answer.
Okay.
I think I'm a very anxious person, and I feel like Boimler to me kind of reflects like my inner anxiety. And what I love about the character is that he's kind of learned to manage that over the seasons and gain more confidence. So I'm gonna miss that. He holds a really, really special place in my heart. And like Eugene says, that we're trying to think of this as more of a pause and less of a goodbye. Because we just love playing these characters. We'll do it till we're dead, and that's a promise.
Yeah,
I'll do it after I'm dead.
Yeah. Just pre-record me.
Yeah.
Seasons. Like I'll just make noises.
Prime Mariner from my cold dead hands. What will I miss the most? I will miss the way the show can surprise me and make me laugh out loud. Even when I've read the script, I know the joke. Maybe I even recorded the joke, but then when I see the animatic or I see the episode, something will still surprise me to the point where I'm bursting out laughing. And that I've done a lot of comedies in my life, and that does not always happen. Like, you have to be surprised in order to laugh. And if you already know what's going to happen, that can be hard. And this show consistently does it.
Yeah, for Tendi, I feel like she got to play a lot of levels in terms of, she starts off really sweet and chirpy, but through the course of the show, she has to take on more of her badass leadership capabilities. And I liked finding all of those levels and being able to turn the knob really high and then really low. And in terms of like taking that into the world, just learning how to control my loudness and quietness is very but also for character, like finding all those different nuances and having those different facets to something I'm going to try to bring into anything I do, including any future Lower Decks that may happen.
We're gonna miss this.
This is great. Great. Thank you all so much, and congratulations on a fantastic run.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, the next question is going to be from Sean at Trek Culture.
What's up, Sean?
What's up? Hey, how are you getting on? You well?
Yes.
Good. So I love the fact we're all on the same page. It's not over. It's not ending. It may just be changing form. That's it. But if from where we are right now, for each of you, what do you think the legacy of this show will be?
Oh man, it's a really good question. Oh man. We've said this before. I mean, I just love that, it has brought animation back to the Star Trek franchise. I'm just such a fan of animation, and I love that, we get to make a very silly cartoon canon to the Star Trek universe, even to the point where we're like crossing over into live action, and these characters exist, and they're around, they're in this world. So I don't know. I love that they made a silly cartoon that wasn't like a throwaway gag. Like, it actually matters within the world. So yeah, that's one of the things I absolutely love about it.
I think it really cemented the weirdness, like the weirdness that has always been present in Trek. Little drips and drabs, when you have episodes like Who Mourns for Morn, or, any of the like kind of tonally strange. I always think about Iggy Pop in The Magnificent Ferengi. Like that is the strangest guest performance in all of Star Trek. And it just, people are kind of like, oh yeah, Iggy Pop was in Star Trek. And I'm like, no, watch it again. That is an acid trip. And I feel like our show is just like a series of acid trips that we've just made like canon.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very purposeful weirdness that we're going like, no. This is part of the franchise. It always has been, but like this is very intentionally here to stay.
And it also gives you what it's added to the world of Trek is it's given you a different perspective of where you stand in the world. Like you can be a beginner, you can be just starting out, and that's just as important, and you have a place here as much as anywhere else. You don't have to be the captain. You can be the ensigns and have a story and have your voice heard. And I think that's something that the younger generation of Trek fans want to, feel like they're included in that way. And I think that that's something that this has brought that's different.
I also think the fact that it's animation, the storylines got to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And do anything because it was something that you could. So I feel like the imagination's really been opened up. I mean, it was always, it's always been that way, but you're not constricted by, I guess.
CGI and makeup, I guess.
Yes, totally.
Real practical sets.
So it's just gotten even bigger.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Magic stuff. She's doing magic.
She's conjuring something.
She's moving things around.
That's what you tell the animators. Like, we want it to look like this.
Yeah, make it look kind of like this, and then like another this.
Acid trip.
Acid trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Animators are wizards anyway. They will get what you mean from that. So the four of you are legends. Thank you very, very much.
You're a legend, Sean.
Thank you so much.
You got to Latin them up for me, buddy.
You're a hero. You're a hero.
Okay, we are almost at time, but I want to make sure Mike and Avery get questions in. So, Mike, I'll let you ask your question, and then Avery, you can jump right on in.
Well, this is a cautionary tale to have a number of questions prepared because I'm down to my last damn question. So, so knowing how deep you've all gotten into these characters, have you created any headcanon for yourselves in what the characters do beyond the screen?
I have, but then I feel weird because I feel like Mike McMahan has deleted it from my brain.
Yeah.
And then I take it away. So I haven't put any thought into it because I've just enjoyed. And honestly, I think with this show, there's so much going on, and all 5 seasons have been so fun that I'm just excited for what the writers who are great writers and the creators have made. So I don't need to add anything. I think all the imagination is there for me, for Rutherford at least.
Same. Like there isn't room. Like the fact that Mike managed to get in Mariner's backstory in episode 409, tying her back to Cedo Jaxa in the First Duty from that TNG episode. I just am like, that's wild that he was able to pull that off in such an artful way that was still very funny in 22 minutes. There's no room for headcanon. Like Mike has jam-packed this thing in such a beautiful way that I spend my headcanon on other things. I think about other things.
Yeah, I feel like for me, Tendi kind of came out like her own, like it just happened. And then the writers and Mike worked, like they made her even better. Oh, yeah. And they were following things that I accidentally did and then made her like sent them back to me. They're like, could you do that thing you did that one time? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then they'll play it back. And so then that became part of the canon and her world. But if I tried to plan it, it wouldn't, I don't think it would be as, I don't know, just as collaborative or like, or as, I feel like she already existed. Somewhere in the universe, and it was just happening.
Yeah, what I love about Boimler actually is like, if I'm really thinking about it, I think in the show he's probably gotten the least amount of like backstory exploration, but I think that that's perfect for him because I think he's like, I think all you really need is like he grew up on a raisin vineyard, and he doesn't want to be a raisin farmer, so he just wants to rank up in Starfleet. Like that's all you need. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, Mike crushed it.
All afraid that Mike will say no to our idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Rutherford did this. That wouldn't happen, and then he'd give me all the reasons.
I do want to meet Boimler's parents because they gotta be weird.
No, yeah,
that's the thing, and I want to know if they all have purple hair or if Boimler made a choice and he like dyed
red.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. I want to know. I just want to know what's up with that. So that's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Avery Kaplan from Comics Beat.
Hello.
I wanted to very quickly thank all four of you for your performances because the show is very important to me personally, especially Tendi's arc. And my question is, what would you each order from the food replicator?
Ooh, great question.
Oh, wow.
In one episode, I think when I'm trying to, Boimler's trying to make Tendi laugh so that she ceases to be a scorpion creature. I think Boimler orders like an insane sundae, like ice cream sundae, and I want that, but not as overwhelming. Like I just want like whatever that is. I think a replicator would make really good ice cream. So yeah.
So is it as our characters or as ourselves?
As yourselves.
Oh, okay. I have to think.
Oh, as ourselves.
Mine was kind of both. Like
you're a big Sunday guy.
I'm a big Sunday guy. We all know this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blue sky between what me and Mariner are or do. So I'm just going to be like, for both of us, I want it to replicate perfect bite nachos. Like every nacho is a perfect bite.
Ooh, wow.
Perfectly distributed. Like everyone is perfect.
That's great. So great.
So great.
I mean,
thanks, guys.
I guess the Rutherford and Eugene thing is similar too, where it's just like, I just need more protein. Just give me the protein, please. I'll take it. I got to stay up and keep working.
Keto bro Rutherford over here. We did just order lunch, and he's like, double chicken.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah. I am not ashamed, but look at me. I'm ashamed.
Double chicken Cordero.
Yeah.
Double chicken cord.
Double chicken cord.
Well, I've traveled to Europe once, and I went to Italy, and there was a pizza that I had at this place, and it was so good. But then when we went the second day, the man refused to let us have it again. Because we were, I guess, Americans, and he was like, "No more pizza for you."
Wow.
And so I would want to replicate that because I think I about that all the time. I just needed it a second time.
What was his reason?
It's called one-time pizza.
It was
only called one time.
It was written in Italian. Yeah.
He was annoyed because
you liked it too much.
I was just like, this was so good. And he's like, no. And I was like, there's no one in here. And he's like, you can't come in.
Wow. Yeah, we need to get that in a replicator.
Maybe we took a picture of it, and he was like, they're going to steal my secrets.
Well, everybody go visit One Time Pizza.
Yeah, you got it.
It was in a town called Lucignano. So it's like a little medieval town, Lucignano Pizza. It's just a circle, and it was this one guy's pizza place.
Don't take a photo of it.
Don't take a photo of it. And don't
know that you're American.
Yeah. By the way, I just saw your background. Is that the Black Mountain? That's unbelievable.
It is from Cradle of Exile.
Ooh, so good.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
All right, that wraps the roundtable. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Those guys really do love Lower Decks, and it seems like they're ready for more. The final interview we have was done at New York Comic Con in the press room, and this one has a lot of background noise, so I apologize for that. This is Laurie, along with some other outlets, speaking with show creator and showrunner Mike McMahan. Here we go.
Okay, so 5th and final season coming up, right?
That's right.
Can you give us some hints of what to expect this season?
Okay, so it's so funny. Some people on the crew who are big fans too are like, this is the most Star Trek we've ever Star Trekked. And I don't know if that's exactly right, because Lower Decks has always Star Trekked more than anybody's Star Trekked. So, we knew it was going to be the final season pretty early on in the writing process. And I kind of made a decision to move some stuff that I had planned forward. But for the most part, it's still hilarious. It's still standalone episodes with just a little bit of a through line to make it feel seasonal so that, like, if you checked out one episode randomly, you'd be like, oh, yeah, it's that season, you know? Yeah. But still, it's everything you love about Lower Decks, and it's everything you love about Star Trek. Just we've gotten really good at it, you know? Like, watching the episodes, it's like, wow, we really like making these, but also, this isn't season one when we're figuring out, you know, how much can we see the bridge crew? How much can we use from legacy shows? Now we know, and it's just really fun to watch a team that knows what they're doing now in a season 5. It's, you guys know, like watching any Star Trek, you get a couple seasons in and you're like, oh, it just clicked. They grew the beard. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of the season where we grow the beard a little bit, and it feels like a nice culmination of everything we've kind of been doing so far.
Continuing with the Boimler discussion, you guys are playing, and Section 31 obviously could fitting. You guys are good at playing the long game. I know we had the William Boimler clone being part of Section 31. To know if that's something you can tease or discuss.
I mean, Section 31 is a mysterious group. They don't even tell me about that stuff. You know? Starfleet is very tight-lipped about it. I would love to see more about William Boimler, but, you know, I'm just on the Cerritos. Like, they don't let us play with the big boys, so I can't speak any more to that.
Well, you talked about the fun that you get to have pushing the envelope with legacy characters you get to refer to and involve. Can you give us a hint of any firsts for this season?
I mean, we finally got Harry Kim with Garrett Wang on the show, and that guy was made for animation. Yeah. Like, he comes in with so much exuberance, and, like, he's a comedy guy. Like, it was so great. And, like, Frakes is like that, too, when you work with Frakes, and he's just, like, they're able to just switch from their live action sort of tone to, like, still being the character but doing a comedy version of it. We did get some, like, dream legacy cast in this season, but you're going to have to wait and see. There's a bit of, like, a season-long thread that allowed us to, without time travel, have people that are harder to get into this specific time period of the show. So we got to work with some really cool people. That was I was actually really surprised that we could get who we got.
Go ahead. Yeah. Over the course of the several seasons, do you have a favorite moment that really sticks out in your mind?
Oh my gosh, working with George Takei really stood out. Like, not only just how fun that moment was in the show, but also, like, how funny and kind he is, and there's, I mean, something literally generational about him still doing Trek with us, you know? There's moments from the first season, like doing the trial episode and just finding the comedy there. There was a moment first season where we did this bit with in the episode where it's in the trial episode where Tendi is doing this cleaner stuff, and they're, like, afraid of these, like, Romulan warbirds that are showing up, the Daredex class ships that are, like, scanning for them, and we keep popping in and out. We're like, no, they're scanning again. Like, that it just really, like, that's when you find the balance of Trek and comedy, and it doesn't feel like we messed up either of those things. I love that. I love the Caves episode. I've been wanting to do a Caves episode since I was writing TNG Season 8. Like, I just think it's... And then the way we executed it, I just really loved it. I don't know. Like, there's so many... It's hard to pick. Like, everything on this show feels a bit like a miracle. You know? Like, getting to define new stuff about Orions, building the California class as, like, a part of the fleet, you know? And also the other ships we've created, like the Obena class. And I just, it's almost hard to focus on little things because every season it feels like, are they really going to let us get away with this? And then every season we do, and then I watch it like a couple years later, and I'm like, wow, we really had fun. We really did this, you know. So I guess that's a couple things, you know.
In the first episode, everyone of the new season, everyone meets their alternate selves, and it feels like, so I'm asking you for a kind of setup for a way for them to explore their characters throughout the season. Like, are we going to see that throughout the season?
The first episode is a good table setting for... They do see alternate versions of themselves that have made different choices. And unlike aspiring to be like your boss that you like or your hero, they're being presented with who they could literally be with only slight changes. Like, this isn't the mirror universe, you know, like this is pretty much like a 2% different.
Yes, so slightly dissimilar choices.
Slightly dissimilar. So it really is saying like, oh, is this a aspirational or a cautionary tale? And for different people seeing different things, it really does affect them across the season. I'd say Talin isn't affected because Talin doesn't get affected by anything. You know, she's almost a rock. And
slightly different catchphrase.
Yeah, exactly. That's slightly different catchphrase. But yeah, it was a fun way to not only set up the character stories, but also to set up an allowance of, like, look, we've all seen the multiverse and stuff. Nobody's begging for the multiverse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Deadpool said it best. We're all tired of the multiverse.
Everybody, yeah. And I personally, I'm not a big time travel fan. I love to watch, but like, I like watching time travel movies, but by the end of it, it feels like you were like running upstairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it all looped around. And I worked on Rick and Morty for 4 seasons talking about the multiverse every day. So it wasn't something that I was super interested in when we started the show. But 5 seasons in, I figured out a way to talk about the multiverse in a way that I had never seen in anything else. And it really fit into the Lower Decks ethos of, oh great, we're dealing with the multiverse again. This is normal work for us. We're in Starfleet. Like, they've read the logs from Parallels as much as we've watched that episode. So like, to them, they're not going like, whoa, oh my gosh, the multiverse. I also love that, like, you know, Star Trek with the Mirror Universe was one of the original definitions of what a multiversal story can be, right? And we saw that expressed, you know, not really in TNG, they never did it, but Deep Space Nine went back there. Enterprise, obviously, some of my favorite episodes did it. And so instead of Mirror Universe, I was like, what is a way, again, for Star Trek to talk about the multiverse in a way where we know our audience loves sci-fi. We don't have to define multiversality to our fans. Like how we don't have to define what a nanite is or what a replicator is or whatever. So it allowed me to be able to write a sci-fi story where the characters are examining the multiverse in a way that where they are also really the multiverse. Like, they've experienced that in a work capacity. It's also a great way to see some interesting legacy characters in ways you might not expect. And now I've just gone down such a path that I'm not even sure what I'm answering anymore. But that's the multiverse answer.
Go ahead.
Will the finale feel like a series finale? Will viewers' hearts swell a little bit more than usual?
I'll tell you, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but like, the finale will make a lot of people tear up. Like, this show, I've been making the show for like 6 or 7 years, and when I first met my wife, when we were first dating, we watched all of Star Trek in order because we both liked it, but we grew up where it wasn't available even on DVD yet, right? So I was like, I'm sure we've missed something, you know? And like, we watched it all together, and when we finished TNG and moved on to Deep Space Nine, I was like mourning not having more TNG to watch, so I started writing the TNG Season 8 Twitter feed just to make my wife laugh, and that's what ultimately became Lower Decks. And so showing her the finale, she like had to turn it off. Like, she was like, I can't watch this anymore because like it was like losing a piece of us to have. But at the same time, the finale is bonkers. I love finales, and if you watch other Lower Deck seasons, it is. You know that very easily. The finale is always about the Cerritos being a character and the people protecting it within it. You know, like, one season we stripped the hull. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something celebrating the Cerritos in the finales. And this is the ultimate expression of that. And it's a series ender, and it's a season ender, and it's a thank you, and it's a love letter, and it's a thank you to Star Trek, and a thank you to fans, and a thank you to Tawny and Jack and Noël and Eugene and everybody. Like, but it's also, it's not The Sopranos. It's not the end, you know?
Right.
Like, instead, like, my wife loves Taylor Swift. It's an era. Like, Lower Decks, the show, is an era for these characters, and we got to experience an era from beginning to end. And I have stories I could tell from before. Like, I would love to tell Billups growing up in that part of Starfleet. Like, what a weird thing to do that. Or, like, young Ransom. Or, like, you know, Captain Freeman as an ensign. Like, is she getting stabbed in the heart like Picard? I don't know. Like, that's cool. But also, the way the show ends, while it does feel final, it it also like blooms into all these other opportunities that we could either make shows, or we could do comics, or write books, or fans could just very fully imagine that these characters are still doing awesome Star Trek stuff, and it's different. Like, we end with them in a different place, but there's no betrayals. Nobody's going to feel like we pulled the rug out from under them. Like, you're going to be really happy, I think, at the end of it.
Sometimes Lower Decks takes on like a tried and true Star Trek trope. And
sometimes.
Most of the time. So in Shades of Green, is that a way of looking at sort of the post-scarcity idea of the Federation?
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking about, every time we're breaking a story, it's, how is this personal? How is this a story about being in your 20s or 30s? How is this when you're changing your job or breaking up with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever? And then it's also, how is this a Star Trek story that doesn't have to compete with 800 other episodes of Star Trek, but can reflect back on those and do a story that a live action show that's 40 minutes and has to have gravitas, what can we say about that same world that Picard and Data or Cisco or these guys, that they couldn't really spend the time on? And the idea of like, oh yeah, there's some planets in the Federation are gonna, become post-scarcity and benefit from replicator technology and the ethos of the Federation. And what is the nitty-gritty of that like? And we were just laughing at the idea of, wouldn't it be great to throw out all the cash? Wouldn't that be just fucking amazing to not worry about that? It'd be a party. You'd be like, yes, we're not worried about that shit anymore. And just getting to do a little story about that and feeling like the Cerritos, that's one of the regular things they do, was that was awesome. Only our show could do something like that. And it felt like, oh yeah, as a Trek fan, I had never thought of that, but deep in the recesses of my fandom, I'm like, of course that would have to happen in some places, So 100%. I love doing that one.
I have more or less, but go ahead.
I was going to say, talking about all the franchises of Trek last year, I love Star Trek Prodigy. I was sad to see it go, but I was always also glad to see Lower Treks, kind of mentioned here and there. Obviously, your reaction or how you feel, like you said, even though it's ending, I love that still the legacy is still continuing on these other shows, like Prodigy. You're kind of feel, I guess, being part of the legacy of Lower Decks. Forward.
I mean, look, Star Trek animation for life, right? We all have to stick together. Anytime we were going to use legacy characters or do a big plot line, or even if we had the season kind of figured out, all the showrunners from all the Trek shows would get together and talk through everything. And if there was something that was sounding a little similar, we'd be like, well, okay, hold on. When you're doing that, how are you going to express that? Because we don't want somebody to sit down and be like, I just watched this on another Trek. Now, sometimes when you have Riker show up at the end of a season to save the day, you didn't know they were going to do reshoots on Picard to have Riker show up to save the day, right? So every once in a while, it does kind of mix up. But seeing those moments in Prodigy where they're referencing Lower Deck stuff, I was going to have the Doctor from Voyager come onto the Cerritos and tutor Tendi. That was going to be a thing. And they were like, oh, we're planning on using him. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense because you guys really are like the Voyager show. So then I went down a different path with Tendi, which I really like, with T'Lyn this season. And getting to see them reference us is kind of like hey, we all really like each other. We're all having fun in the same sandbox. I thought that was really cool of them to kind of include us in that.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more thing?
Yes, but they need me to go.
Okay, so I noticed Mary Chieffo does a voice in it. And are there other people that aren't playing what we expect, but doing voices of... Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, she's awesome.
I was like, we need her.
That was a great little round table. And again, apologize for the background noise, but I thought it was worth everyone being able to hear Mike in his own voice. The Mike and cast interviews are already on trekmovie.com transcripts. The Gabrielle Ruiz one will be coming up pretty soon. So you heard it here first. We'll be back next week on November the 8th. Laurie and I will be reviewing 2 episodes of Lower Decks. See you then.